Hi, I'm Deborah Seifert, and I'm here at IMS 2015 in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm talking with Jerry Lomurno, who's the president of Eastern OptX. I thought maybe what you want to do is give us an overview of the products and what's new here today, and take it away.
Okay, well, what we're showing, we've been very successful in making radar target simulators. In other words, putting in a box distance or time. So you put a signal in, we take that signal and stall it, delay it, and put it out later. Frankly, we're the only ones here at the show doing that, and it's been that way for probably 4 or 5 years that you've been working with us. So the radar community has really taken to what we're doing. The radar altimeter market has taken to what we're doing. And now all of a sudden we're starting to hear from a lot of communication applications. And what we're doing is we're providing a emulation of the distance between a transmitter and a receiver. Good example is this military one we have here, where you see a soldier and a tank and an airplane all needing to talk to each other. And for obvious reasons, it's expensive to have an airplane up to do a test. There might be security reasons why you don't want to transmit during a test. Even regulatory, the FCC has to approve before they can do a test. We supplied that to a major Air Force base who is doing the qualifications of software radios, and we saw it's a 3 radio, bi-directional. All radios talk to each other at distances up to 170 miles. They say that just in the cost of gasoline to fuel the airplane every time they fly it is saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars. On the commercial side, we've had some activity on the Wi-Fi and WiMAX, and I'm going to let Joe Mazzochette, the general manager of Eastern OptX, address that. Joe?
So the application here is similar to the kind of testing that we provide for radar applications, for radar altimeter applications. However, in a communication network, you have the additional complexity of having full duplex capability. That's a requirement. They need to be able to transmit and receive simultaneously, or at least in TDMA applications, time shared. But it has to be fast. So why do people look for this as a solution? It's usually because they're performing some kind of field testing that requires either the use of an aircraft, maybe an automobile that's traveling a particular route in a city or in the country, where they're trying to test a system in its early stages or maybe in a qualification mode, and they want to reproduce the channel in the real world. So they go out in the field with this aircraft or with this automobile or with this ship and perform the testing that way. A number of difficulties with that, the main one being the cost. It's expensive to do this kind of field testing, and if in the process of the field testing they end up with some part of the system functioning improperly, then the whole test is scrubbed and they have to start again. So that can be repeated several times until they get the system operating properly, each time incurring additional expense and delaying the project. So what we do is we take that same channel, that same environment that they'll see in the field test, and we build it into a laboratory box that can be used in a controlled environment, and it gives the user the ability to take the time to optimize the performance of the system. They can make modifications. If there is a failure in any component or any part of the system, they can take the time to correct that problem, try to find ways to prevent it from recurring, and then complete the rest of what they would normally do in the field in the laboratory environment. So that means you have to have everything that the environment brings in this laboratory device. You have to be able to reproduce the multipath. You have to be able to generate moving platforms either both radios are moving, one radio stationary, another one moving, and then also any kind of artifacts that would appear in the environment. If it's a urban environment and you have reflections from multiple buildings, highly reflective surfaces, you have to be able to reproduce those. Interferers, if there are other transmitters in the area in the same band, you have to be able to introduce those so that they can test the robustness of the system in the presence of interferers. And if there are other artifacts that affect timing, like clutter, or in a less urban environment, if there's differences in atmospheric effects between nighttime and daytime, between evening and morning, you have to be able to reproduce all of that in this laboratory box. And that's really what the advantage is of a system approach like this, bringing again that real world environment into the laboratory, into a controlled environment, and reduce the cost and the time of the testing.